Hello, Nova here with a plugin tutorial slash promo. Today it will be called SpawnJoin. SpawnJoin, a plugin that I've actually been working on for quite a while. This is version 3.1.1, I believe, and basically, sort of like your all-in-one warps teleportation plugin. It has warps, lobbies, hubs, and a lot more, as well as some features that most warping plugins don't actually have, surprisingly enough. So anyway, we're going to start it with some of the basic, just start with hub, go to lobby, and then warps, and show you some of the other plugins with that. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just sort of building some points to show you that it will warp you to it and stuff like that. So first we're going to start out with the spawn. Now SpawnJoin handles multiple worlds, and spawn points with SpawnJoin will now be like per world. So when you type /spawn, instead of it bringing you to like the hub or something, or like if you have multiverse, it'll generally bring you to the it'll bring you to the main world. With SpawnJoin, however, when you do /spawn, it brings you to the world spawn. So if we just do /set spawn, it'll notify you that a spawn has been set, and if you do /spawn, it'll move you over there. Now, since I am on my test server, I can't show you that it's per world, because my test server only has one world. Anyway, so that's the set spawn and spawn command, really simple. Then we have the hubs, which is fairly simple. There's a couple different uses. /set hub, which is very simple. It will just do that, and then you can do /hub, and it'll bring you right there, point you to wherever you were looking. So if you just do /set hub again, it'll, when we TP back, it'll point you to that block, as you can see. However, most plugins don't have this. However, SpawnJoin does. You can set multiple hubs. Now, the way to do this is very simple. When you do /set hub, you're setting the main hub, also known as hub. So another way, instead of just doing /hub, you can also do hub, which will bring you there. And it acts just like that for the other ones. So to set a different hub, say right here, we're going to do like /set hub, and then we can set it to whatever. So we'll just do test 1, and now if we go over here, we can do /hub test 1. If a hub does not exist, like hub hello, it'll tell you that hub does not exist, and to delete a hub, it's just simply del hub, and then whatever the name is. So we'll just delete test 1, and then that hub gets deleted. Now, in the new version 3.1.1, which isn't yet public as the recording of this video, there are now list commands, so you can like list what hubs exist. So we can do /set hub A. We'll go over here by this sheep and do /set hub B, and then we can go way over here and do /set hub C. So now that we have a couple of different hubs set, what we can do is /hubs with an S, and it will list the hubs. So you have the main hub, and then you have A, B, and C. Kind of glitched out right there and added it, the main hub twice, but yeah, so A, B, and C, as you can see. And then if you do /del hub, it'll actually, if you do /del hub with no arguments, it'll tell you too few arguments, and will actually give you the proper format. So then we can do del hub A, del hub B, and del hub C, and what it'll do now is /hubs will just show you the main hubs. So that's basically the hub commands. Now this does support, the entire plugin supports multiple worlds, so you can have any number of hubs as you want in any number of worlds. Now lobbies functions the exact same way, so set lobby will actually set the main lobby, which is just /lobby. Yeah, if I can type, that is. So it'll just bring you to the lobby, and then if you do slash set lobby 1, you can set multiple lobbies as well, 2, and then 3. This is useful if you have like a minigame server or something that has multiple worlds or something like that, and the minigames doesn't have lobbies. You can just do that, and then if you do slash lobbies, it'll give you the list of the lobbies. And it's a pretty easy, straightforward kind of thing. What's also nice is that you can delete lobbies the exact same way, so del lobby 1, and then if we do slash lobbies, it will actually tell you that lobby 1 no longer exists. If you try teleporting to a hub or a lobby that doesn't currently exist, you know, if I type it, it will tell you it doesn't exist. Warps is nearly the same way. However, you can't just do slash set warp. You need to have arguments, because there's no like main warp, so it's just slash set warp, and then whatever the warp name is. So we can do hi, and then it will tell you how to get there. So just warp hi, and it teleports you back. It will tell you that you've warped to hi. So, and then to delete warps, it's just del warp, and to list warps, it's warps. So that's fairly very simple for the most part. However, there are a couple of other things. With all the commands, spawn, lobby, warp, and hub, they all have another feature which no plugins really do, is that from the console or in-game you can teleport another player. To do that, it would actually be slash hub, and then the name of the player. The hub name is required even if it is the main hub, so if you did like slash hub, and then we can do my name, it'll teleport me there. And when you do that, it'll tell you what player you've teleported and to where. And then, depending on if you have the notification turned on, it will actually tell the player that's been warped where they've been warped to. You can actually turn those notifications off in the configuration file, which we will get to in a little bit. There's a couple of other commands, such as the help command, which is very, very simple. It's just slash SpawnJoin help. Which will tell you the names of all of the commands and their format. Anything that's in parentheses is required, and anything that's in brackets is optional. Which means you can, like, if you want to, you can do like slash hub. The hub name is only required if you're moving a player or if you want to go to a different hub than the main one. Same with lobbies. There's another command which is slash SpawnJoin info. This is for admins and people who manage the plugins, which will tell you who it's made by, so me, the version that you have installed. Soon to have to tell you what version is the most recent version that's been uploaded, and then it'll actually check your configuration file to make sure it's working properly, and will tell you it's up to date, which is like the config version for the 3.0 versions is 3.0. Basically any 3 point whatever is 3.0 as of now. Whenever the config file version changes, that means that I've added something that requires the plugin requires to function, and you need to, change the config. And then like another command, TPR, or teleport random, which will teleport the player who uses it to a random location on the map within a certain radius defined in the config, and it's in blocks. By default, it's 1000. I don't know exactly what I have it set to on my test server, but if you just do slash TPR, it will teleport you, and it's teleported me 872 blocks away from my original location. So it's just going to have to generate the map in, and I am underwater, which I shouldn't have done that. If it is in water, generally what will happen is it'll move you to the closest location that's land. So there's that. Pretty simple. We're just going to go back to the spawn here, as you can see, and then TPR in version 3.1 now supports up to 5 different worlds. Before, it only worked in one world if you had a default name. Bit of a glitch there, but I fixed it, so now it supports up to 5 different worlds, which you can set in the config. That is case sensitive, and if you are in a world that you aren't allowed, it will tell you TPR is not allowed in that world, and you can actually turn that feature off in the permissions, or I mean in the config file. You can also disable whatever commands you like, so if you don't want the lobby command, you can turn that off. If you don't want the warp command, you can turn that off. Don't like TPR, that's fine, turn it off. Everything is permission based, and the new 3.0 or 3.1 version has a new permissions format to fix some incompatibilities. But yeah, SpawnJoin's lightweight. It's definitely useful if you don't want to have 5 different plugins like I used to have for warping. It was quite annoying having a different one for teleporting, having a different one for warps, for lobbies, hubs. So now we have all of that, and depending on what features you guys ask for, I'll probably put it in, as long as it's somewhere, you know, related to this. But we're going to get onto the config now, so I'll see you there. Okay, so here's the config file. Now, when you first open it, I suggest that when you download this plugin, what you do is you start your server up so it can generate the config file, and then you stop it so you can customize the basics. Now, since this is for my server, it does have a little bit that's loaded in when you issue commands, which I will get to. So, first your default stuff, which is just these right here. This is all the default stuff that is loaded in when you first generate the first config file. Don't edit these two. The server, or the plugin, actually runs off of this, so if these change, it will error out, and actually it uses the config version here to make sure that you've updated your config file, because if you haven't, if the config file version changes, that generally means I've added in something, and that in order for the plugin to properly work, you're going to have to update your config. So just leave these two alone. Now, right here you can determine which commands you want to have enabled or disabled. So if you don't want players to be able to use TPR no matter where they are, just turn this to false, and they won't be able to use it. This works for hub, warps, and lobbies. Now this is for the command, this is not for each individual, like, location. So there's that. Now, you'll see this join here. This is for when a player first joins the server, like, not a first join, but just joins the server. If you have any of these to true, it will teleport them to either the spawn of the world, the main lobby, the main hub, or the main lobby. You can have only one of these true, so only spawn true, for example, and lobby and hub must be false. If you have more than one true here, it will actually error out and just keep teleporting them. You can have all of these false, as I do on my server, because I don't really want this function here, but I have noticed that a lot of people need this function for minigame servers or whatever if the minigame plugins don't automatically do this. So now you have the TPR settings, teleport random. The max is basically the max radius that can be teleported. By default it's 1000 blocks. Now you can change that as much as you want, it doesn't matter. Though I don't suggest you go over anything 10,000 because that will actually lag out the server generating all those chunks. While we do have a way, the plugin does have a automatic chunk unloader, it won't be able to load in the chunks all that fast. Now world 1 through 5 you can set as whatever, so the way I have it here, the default is like this actually. You can have players teleport random in world, in the nether, and in the end. And then in my survival world, and then if you want another world, example world 2. I would just say if you don't want them to be able to teleport, you can either leave these blank, or you can just put in something like example world 2. You can also just completely disable TPR. Now, notifications here allows you to change the notifications for all the commands. So it's separated fairly nicely. It is a bit tricky if you don't really understand what all of this is for. So this for true, basically, when a player issues /spawn, if you have this as true, it will tell them they've teleported to the spawn. Same with lobby, warp, and hub here. All of those will do the exact same. TPR, it will tell you how far you have teleported away if you have that. If TPR is allowed, this basically means if you don't have TPR allowed in the world that they are trying to issue it in, what will actually happen is that it will tell you TPR is not allowed in this world. If you turn this to false, it won't tell you anything. Bypass, this is for players with the bypass permission. We will get to permissions in a bit. And the bypass permission basically says if any of these are true and you have the bypass permission, you will join and you won't be warped to whatever these are. Permission is basically, do you want, if a player tries to issue one of the commands of this plugin and they do not have permission to use it, will it message them that they don't have permission? By default, these are all true. Args basically means if you are issuing a command like /setwarp and you only did /setwarp and you didn't put any arguments in, if this is true, it will tell you you have too few arguments, you need to add more, or if there's too many, it will tell you take out some. And SpawnJoin will basically tell you if these are all true and a player is warped to them, will it notify the player that they have been warped? As if you have, you know, a minigame server, do you want them to know that they were just warped to the spawn, or is it fine if they don't? So that's basically the general default. Now, when you start issuing commands like /set, hub, and lobby and stuff, it will generate this, and it will put in your hub and lobby. It will put in all your warps, so that we have the world, so it supports multiple worlds. You have your X, Y, and Z coordinates, and you also have your yaw and pitch, which is where players' heads will be facing. Now, this is the same for lobbies and warps, as you can see. The worlds are case sensitive. SpawnJoin will figure it out when you issue this. I highly suggest you do not change these in the config. While you can set them in the config on your own, I suggest you don't. And then we finally have our lists. Now, what the lists is basically when you create a hub, it will actually create a list and put the new location in that list, so that when you issue /hubs or /lobbies, it can tell you what there is. These will automatically be generated upon making a hub or a lobby or a warp, and when you delete a hub, lobby, or warp, it will actually take out that warp location or hub location from the list. It will also completely delete it from the config file. So that should be pretty simple, and that is explained on the plugin page, and you can just look here for added detail. I just suggest you don't change anything below the notification settings. And now we will get on to the permissions. So, I'm using B permissions. Now you can use whatever permissions plugin you have. This supports all the plugins. All permissions plugins, doesn't matter. And just go to whatever world or groups.yml you're using, or however it is, and you'll see you have all of your permissions in here. So we're just going to close all of these here. Now, in these files, I haven't changed it to support my new permissions formats, but that's what we can get to. So we have a new format for permissions to avoid compatibility issues. These were the original permissions. They had some issues, and they wouldn't allow permissions per like warp or whatever. So first you're going to need the permissions to use the command. So the permissions format would be SpawnJoin .use and then whatever command. So we're going to set up the hub commands first. So it would be, so this is player, so it would be SpawnJoin.use.hub. And then if we want them to be able to list the hubs, it's SpawnJoin.use.hubs. Now, with the newest update, 3.1.1, there are now, actually it's 3.1.0, there are now per hub, per lobby, and per warp permissions. In order to do that, it would, the proper format is SpawnJoin.use.hub, and then it would be whatever your hub name is, and this is case sensitive. So it's whatever the hub name is. So if we have a hub named hub, it would just be hub. However, with this permission to use the hub, this will let you go to the main hub. So if I have a hub called factions, it's just SpawnJoin.use.hub.factions. This is and will be case sensitive. So now that we have that, SpawnJoin.use.lobby is to use the lobbies, or to use the lobby command, and then it would be SpawnJoin.use.lobbies for using multiple, or for using the list command for lobbies, and then it would be use.lobby, and then whatever the lobby name is. This also applies for warps as well, so it's SpawnJoin.use.warp, SpawnJoin.use.warps to list them, and then it's SpawnJoin.use.warp. Whatever the name is. So for example, we're going to do hub, because in our config file for this, our warps, we have hub, faction, survival. So it's pretty straightforward. While it is a bit of a headache if you're switching from an old version, it is much nicer. For the reason is because the old one, in order to use, like, to warp other players, the old permission, which this does not work anymore, was .warp.others. We have changed this to SpawnJoin.use.warp.others. This applies for lobby as well, so it's SpawnJoin.use.lobby.others and SpawnJoin.use.hub.others. This is to avoid incompatibilities if for some odd reason you name a location others, so, you know, it doesn't glitch out. And then to use TPR, it's SpawnJoin.use.tpr. To use the help command, it's SpawnJoin.use.help. And that's pretty much it for player permissions. We do have some admin permissions or whatever, so you can go to the admin. I don't think I actually set permissions in here for the old version. So in order to do permissions for setting warps and stuff, it's the same format, SpawnJoin.use.setLobby, and then SpawnJoin.use.setWarp or setHub, SpawnJoin.use.setLobby. And then in order for deleting, it's SpawnJoin.use.delLobby. Actually, I messed this up here. Don't want to duplicate setWarp. And then delLobby. This is also for spawn. It would be SpawnJoin.use.setSpawn, and also /spawn will teleport you to, will give you permission to teleport to the lobby, or to the spawn, I mean. So SpawnJoin.use.spawn use.spawn. So it is pretty simple, and this is the format that it will now be on, as this will have better support for future commands and future permissions. It also fixes incompatibility errors and some other bugs that weren't exactly noticeable. For a full list of all the permissions and commands, you can find it on the plugin page, where you can download the plugin. And that's pretty much about it. If you guys have any questions, just put it in the comments, send me a private message or whatever. I'll be happy to answer it. If you guys find any bugs, report them. I'm always looking to patch any bugs that I happen to find, so just help out with that. And I really do suggest you download this. It puts all of these commands into one plugin, makes it so much simpler, and it's so much lighter on the server. Takes very little CPU, very little RAM. It's really, really nice. And just that's about it, guys. I will see you later, and thank you for watching.